Welcome everyone to the 2023 Vineyard Social 17. We are at Martha's Vineyard. I am joined here with Andres Ripley. How you doing, my man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Rivas.
Absolutely. First time on the GMT channel. Can't wait to see some of your putting and some of your drives, especially Team Tank. There's a lot of you out here today. And we got a special show for everyone. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a vineyard, but it's two layouts. We're playing on the second layout, the Tougher Blues layout. We're going to start off with
Cooke Tarlton, who's from California, going to school right now at Tufts in Massachusetts. He's currently 988 rated.
And coming off a very hot start, he had a 1023 round, -6. And you, sir, had a -5 round, shooting a 1013 round. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Supporting the Team Tank hoodie there. And here we got Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan's from Halifax. He had a 1013 first round here, sponsored by Beast Disc Golf, also on Team Tank, and also sponsored by Sunnymead. And we're both wearing our tank, of course. It was really, really cold out there and really windy, so we had the same sweatshirt on that day.
Yeah, it's about 31 degrees right now. And coming from the cold area, and no stranger to it, you got Angus Barstow coming from Vermont. Great guy. You can check him out at the Cold Hollows feature that we dropped last year. I did commentary with him. And there's the boat shot. There's the money shot.
Yep.
Coming off from Massachusetts to the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. We are in Edgartown, and you can see it was a chilly 34 degrees.
Indeed, yeah. This first hole that we have here had a pretty strong right to left wind coming off, so a lot of us are trying to throw something pretty stable into it.
Yeah, speaking of stable, Cooke threw his PD there, landing a little short, probably about 80 feet. Just getting the top of that limb, unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think Dylan is throwing a Glow Firebird into the wind here. Looks pretty good out of his hand, and I think he's able to just sneak past that tree, and that should be a long look.
Pretty good shot. I mean, the wind was so challenging on this hole. It created several types of vortexes.
Yeah.
You can't really tell sometimes. What are you throwing here?
I'm actually throwing a Halo Destroyer. I don't throw them a lot, but in a windy situation like this, you definitely need it, and worked out pretty well for me there.
Looks like a really good shot. We're going to get a replay here. And shout out to Quinten Scott as well as Dan Snyder for on the cam. Look at this nice flex shot here. Oh, and a good landing. Could have even been a little better.
It could have been better, but we'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good start. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're feeling pretty good after your first round.
Yeah, everything went pretty smooth, I would say, round one. Again, just trying to deal with the elements and put it close to the basket when you can.
Angus leaving it a little bit to the left, hyzering it out. I think he was trying to fight the wind a little more, but he was throwing his, most likely his T-bird there.
I think Cooke is forehanding a zone a lot today, that orange disc you see there, so he just puts that up close to the basket.
I've never seen him play. I'm excited to see what he's got, what sort of talent he's got.
He's got a lot of talent. He hasn't been playing for long, as Dylan just misses there, but he's definitely has a lot of talent and has a lot of potential. He actually beat me and Dylan pretty well last year at the Muldoon tournament towards the end of the year, and we were laughing about that.
He throws some hot rounds, I see.
He does.
He's no stranger to 1040s, 1050s.
Not at all.
And I've never heard his name prior to last year.
I remember him saying, actually, he won a pretty big beat here in California, where he's from back home, too. So he has some good tournament experience as well.
And playing is smart. Angus just leaving it low with his Rhino.
So I'm lining up about a 22, 25 footer here, trying to figure out what the wind's doing. I thought it was kind of a headwind, but I just never got it up high enough. So unfortunate miss there from the circle. You definitely want to hit those, but we'll have a tap in for the par.
Not the camera jitters, right?
Not the camera. I like being on the camera.
But there we go. Truth comes out.
Yeah. This is not an easy putt for Cooke either here. He's got the lead by one and wants to keep it, and that's a great stab to start.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to keep the momentum as 10-23 round and making sure to keep up with you guys, because you guys are pretty talented. I mean, I'm sure he's only played with you a few times at this moment.
Yeah.
Anytime that I play with you guys, I feel the pressure for sure. And here is Angus for his par save. pretty routine, but nothing's that routine in this wind,
I know.
man.
I'd say you can't, since there's not even leaves, it's even harder to see how windy it truly was. But it felt like we had pretty steady 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. Definitely the windiest tournament I've ever played in.
Same, and I remember I just was said, because I have a hyzer putt, so I just remember I had to change my putt a little bit. I had to put a little more spin on certain angles.
Definitely.
But, unscathed for you guys, not too bad. And hole 2, one of my favorite holes. I really like it. It's very tricky. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough hole. You got to get out of this gap right here and then have something that bends a little to the right, as you see Cooke's doing here. And you want it to finish back to the left a bit. It looks like he might have caught a little bit of some cabbage there, but still was able to move out into the fairway.
That was a great looking shot with this halo boss, and he's happy of it.
Oh, yeah.
And to get out of that tunnel is the key there. I mean, you can land anywhere, and it almost plays as a par 4, to be fair. It's a tough par 3.
I would agree. And Dylan, just to try to get out of the gap here, is even just throwing a forehand just to make sure he can get off that initial part.
Which is, I mean, he has a backhand for this. I'm surprised that that's not an easy forehand line there.
Definitely not.
What are you throwing there?
I'm throwing that same Halo Destroyer as hole 1. Again, we have a pretty strong headwind here, so I'm just trying to flex it up there. And came out of camera sight there, but it landed in a pretty interesting spot.
Well, we'll see where you land.
Yeah.
It looked like a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
Anything out of the chute on this one. I've seen Nicholas Economos be way left from last year's footage. Check it out. Angus doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Getting the memo.
Yeah, just throwing the forehand.
His reactions are great.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that he's wearing Crocs this whole time.
Yeah.
He's not sponsored by them, although he should be.
We were making a lot of jokes about that. Yeah, even in this cold weather, he was wearing Crocs.
It's insane. And he's got a lot. He's 975 rated with Crocs all the time.
Pretty solid player.
Look at this up and down by Dylan there.
That's a great forehand. He's forehanding that zone most times on those approach shots, and he put it pretty close.
I feel like his approach shot has gotten better in the past year. It's more
Definitely.
controlled. It's a little lower. It just seems more in the circle of 1 rather than the circle 2s now.
I would agree, and he's really confident with it, so that's a good thing. So actually, we didn't show where I landed, but I was actually up in the tree about 20 feet up. Luckily, we're not playing with the 2-meter rule here. So I'm also leaning on my zone there.
How did you get up there?
It just, the wind kind of lifted it, and it just wedged perfectly into some branches.
Well, I think in the intro we saw you guys throwing a ball up there or something like that.
Cooke also lays up his shot there. It is kind of a death putt, especially for the lefties when it's sloping left to right there. So he just wanted to put it close, preserve the lead, take his 3, and move on to the next one.
Yeah, and Angus gave the memo to save his par as well.
Yeah.
And this is your par save, about 25, 30?
Yeah, I would say so. Again, kind of, wanted to correct from hole 1 and just get it up in the air and able to keep it right on the pole there.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
You have a very nice stroke, and I'm going to talk about your stroke in a little bit because I noticed something during one of our Instagram media clips, something particular that I don't think I've seen anybody else do. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. Dylan with a good par save there, and hopefully he can pick up his mini. Oh, there he goes. And Cooke with a tap in as well for his par.
So, not a bad start again for you guys. Averaging 3.8 that hole. Tough one.
Definitely.
Toughest hole on the course, and you guys just kind of got clean there.
Yeah. This is a really tricky hole. Par 4, 560 feet, especially for us lefties. Cooke is throwing, I think, a Star Destroyer, and he's trying to turn it over into the headwind, and unfortunately just turned it a little bit too much. And it rolled out. Still in bounds, still made the Mando, which is important.
His reaction was funny there. He really didn't like it, but I think it kind of landed in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. And I think Dylan's also leaning on either a Halo Destroyer or a Halo Boss there. I think it also was a little straighter than he wanted it to be, but he still just barely made the Mando, which is important.
And I was going to say, when I was practicing, I don't think I noticed the Mando. And somebody during the tournament mentioned the Mando, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That changes the shot. It's a lot more scary. It comes into play real fast.
Exactly.
What are you throwing here to make sure that you're going to avoid it?
Yet again, I'm throwing the Halo Destroyer. I don't think I've ever played a tournament where I've thrown 3 Halo Destroyers in a row. But again, it's just super windy, and I'm just trying to make sure I make the Mando, get into the fairway, and
That's
then try
really
to work
funny.
something from there.
Yeah, this one was really no joke. Is that your most stable disc, you would say?
Hands down, yeah. I actually have another Destroyer I'll throw in a little while. It's a little less stable than that.
Angus is going to be throwing his Metal Flake PD. He's leaning on this disc a lot in this wind.
You can see everyone is just confused that nothing is flying like it normally does here.
Oh, no, not at all.
And I'm actually leaning on a newer disc in my bag at the time, which was a Glow Halo Wraith. They're a little bit flippier than the stock Halo Wraiths are. And I don't really throw it a lot, but I just trusted it to turn into the headwind as it did, and
wow, dude,
got
are
a
you
good
serious?
skip. And it was
that was so far.
Yeah, put me to circle's edge.
That was such a good shot, man.
Yeah.
And we're definitely gonna need a replay for that.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back on it, I think this was one of my better shots of the tournament. Again, just trusting the disc, thinking it was going to flip a bit, but not turn over and skip right up into circle.
To get a position for 3 on this is just amazing, and you're within probably circle 2, almost circle 1 there. Angus, you could tell. I mean, it's not an easy shot from where you were. You kept it low enough too.
Mm-hmm.
Angus getting a little bit caught up there.
Cook's in a pretty tough spot here since he rolled a little bit towards the right side of the fairway, so he's just trying to get through the brush and work something out.
So the first 3 holes average like 0.5 over par. All 3 holes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a tough stretch to start with. I almost would not want to be on the lead card.
There's an argument to be made for that for sure. I mean, these first couple holes are out in the open, and once we get into the woods more, it's still windy, but a little bit more controllable. But it's challenging out here.
Dylan copying your line almost with the nice low ceiling there.
Yep, throwing his Firebird up there, trying to get a putt.
And this is Cook's 3rd shot, I believe.
Yeah. I think, again, he's leaning on that zone there, hoping to fight the headwind and just put it close.
I wonder if he had the Zone OS, he would have used that today.
It definitely would be a day for it, definitely. It's a nice approach shot there, keeping it low.
I think my tactic's getting more stable. I threw it, and I hear the Zone OS is really overstable.
It is. Ooh.
Dylan left himself a little shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
But for a bid, that was pretty good where he landed.
Definitely. And Angus, he's been having a tough time so far. He's just trying to put this one close and see if he can hit a good putt here.
This is a huge 4 save.
Look at that.
Well done.
Great stroke, Angus. Yeah.
He has such a good putt, and he's wearing Crocs, folks. I don't get it.
It's, a lot of respect to him for that. Look at that. Perfect
I mean, we're
timing.
not lying. Look at those Crocs.
They are some heavier duty Crocs, I guess. That is that is a little bit helpful.
It's pure. When I wear Crocs, I could barely walk, man.
Yeah. Look at that. Great footage of the Crocs there. Got him in 4-wheel drive at least.
Yeah. Thank you, Quinten Scott, for that angle. And here you are, Circle's Edge once again.
Yep. So left to right wind. I was just trying to figure out where to keep it, and just again right on the pole. So able to make the correction from hole 1 and had 2 good putts on hole 2.
Are you even
there.
thinking about the wind, or are you just kind of doing your normal routine? At
a
that
little
point?
bit. I'm just trying to gauge in which direction it's coming and maybe aim a little bit higher or lower depending on what it's doing, but not thinking about it too much.
That's some good tips, because sometimes if you overthink it,
Yeah,
it can get in your head.
definitely. And it looks like Cook and Dylan also clean up their pars there too. So I get the birdie and everyone else gets a par there, I think.
Great birdie, Andre.
Thank you. Needed that. And now Cook and I are tied up at the top, and Dylan's only 1 behind us.
And this is hole 4, another signature hole, going to be a right to left hole. 2 shots you have to get there easily.
Yeah, and this is the first hole we're playing that actually has a good amount of OB. So the whole right side, for the most part, there's out of bounds, as well as if you go 2 straight off the tee there. So yet again, I threw the Halo Destroyer. I think Cook is leaning on his Halo Boss here, trying to fight the wind.
And he's saying goodbye.
Yeah, it went a lot straighter than he wanted to, and actually really came into contention with the out of bounds long.
We're going to see in a minute if he was out or not.
Dylan's throwing a pretty good shot here, just a flex forehand. He got a really good tree kick and put him basically right in the middle, so he'll have something to work with there.
And when that was sort of a layup. I mean, when he's doing that, it's a tough hole.
Definitely.
Angus taking his Metal Flake PD again and taking the inside route. There is something back there, folks.
There definitely is.
It's a little bit of a miscue, but he still has a little bit of a path, I think, down there.
Yeah. So actually, Cook did hit something a little early, and he's trying to figure out what to throw here.
Oh, my.
He slipped a bit, and I think this is where his shot actually went a little too long and out of bounds. So
and he needed to go way more left.
Yeah, the basket's way
to
the
left.
left.
Did he know that it was a 90 degrees to the left?
He did. I think it was just the wind and a little bit of the slip that led to that shot. I had a little tight window here trying to get to the left, and unfortunately clipped a branch, so not going to have a good look for the birdie.
You can see Dylan placed himself in a really good spot for this hyzer approach.
He does, but yet again, there is a wind kind of coming at Dylan's face there, and it pushed the disc a little too straight. Yeah.
And I think this is Angus. Oh, he also gets squashed. What is it with this hole?
He was trying to also play a little tight there.
It's not that long. It's only 435 feet.
Yeah. Oh, and so here, this was an interesting part because where Cooke landed, we couldn't tell if the out-of-bounds stakes were for our hole or for the next hole. So we couldn't quite tell if he actually was in bounds. We were able to call the TD over, I think, and confirm that he was out of bounds where he was, and we were just trying to figure out where he should be playing his next shot from.
So those stakes were continuous to the hole that you were on. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, it's always good to get somebody involved, especially if the group really doesn't know. I mean, you get the locals involved for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we were able to decide that this is where we think his disc would have crossed. So now I think he's throwing this shot for 4. So he's hoping to put this close so he can just have a somewhat easy bogey attempt.
And this whole average 4.08. The theme of the first 4 holes is over par, the average. And that's really tough for anybody.
Exactly. I mean, and one thing to realize here, too, is that it's not only is it cold, so the ground is harder, but just the Martha's Vineyard surface in general, things slide a lot more than we're used to. You don't have a lot of big roots or rocks too much. So when you're approaching the greens, you have to keep that in mind.
And on hole 2 in the feature card, that comes into play. We saw Charlie VC go out of bounds very quickly.
Yeah.
It's and then you also have the pine needles, which also can make it slide even quicker sometimes.
Exactly. So Cooke trying to save a bogey here. Not an easy putt, but again, able to connect.
He's very flexible from what I can see there.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good bogey save.
That was a good save. We're going to get a replay here. Extending that arm out all the way, reaching with it. There it is.
Yeah, he's got a really good putting stroke. He's keeping it right on the pole every time.
I can't believe he's only been playing for a couple of years.
I know. He's really talented.
What?
And it's, again, hard to see on camera, but he's also a pretty tall, lengthy man, which, that can lead to a lot of distance potential when you can unlock it.
Oh, okay. Nicely and politely asking to get out of the way a little bit. Let's make sure he makes it, though. Nothing worse than asking and then missing.
Nope.
Oh, come on. It's Dylan, though.
Yep, right on the pole. So I think he saves his par.
Team Tank's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, we had a pretty good tournament. There were some other tankers out there for sure. I know Mahoney and Viggy were out there as well as some other guys. So I think we were able to have a pretty good finish here.
Now, since you guys are battling, looks like a little bit back and forth here. Yeah. Is it tougher to play with your friend on the same card when you're battling for money like that, or is it easier for you?
I don't think it's necessarily easier or harder. I mean, Dylan and I are great friends, but we also love to compete with each other. We're still rooting for each other to do well, so it's definitely some good camaraderie that we always had when we're on the same card.
And you definitely can tell that on camera, and you'll see that later on as well. What are you throwing here?
Wow, yet again, I am throwing the Halo Destroyer. I completely forgot how many times I threw this disc, but this is a shot that you really want to get left.
Don't lose that disc on.
I can't. It's still in my bag right now. But yeah, you definitely want the shot to get left, and with the wind, I just wanted to disc up a little bit.
And even with the wind, this is sort of a must-get for the card,
Definitely.
Especially as a lead card, I feel like.
Definitely.
You don't get to play this twice, but this shot shape, this, stock hyzer, a little bit of blind, you kind of just have to know where to land it. It should be pretty routine for most of you guys.
Definitely. But it is also a specific landing zone. If you go too deep like Dylan did, I think he threw his Star Thunderbird there, you kind of end up in some rough that you can still get out of, but it's not super easy.
Yeah, and Angus has never played. I don't think this might have been I don't know if he was playing blind, but I'm sure he didn't get to play both layouts.
I don't think so.
In his practice round.
Yeah.
It's hard to get both in. You'd have to spend a little bit of time on Friday there.
Definitely. I think Cooke was throwing either a Firebird or some other kind of overstable fairway driver. Just, again, trying to get it left. I think we're going to see Angus first. So, yeah, Angus got it cut up early, and from here it's really just, like you saw, just a forehand pitch out, trying to get a long look.
He had to get really creative there. I mean, settling for bogey and hopefully bogey. I mean, he left himself a little short there.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting hole because although it's kind of a stock righty backhand shot, there is some out of bounds behind the basket. So if you have a long look and you miss, you can easily go out of bounds.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh! Really?
That was a great putt, Dylan. So yeah, like I said,
He was looking the other way and then putted that way. What?
Yes, yeah, he's a talented man. So yeah, he was just outside the circle and was able to just fall forward on the putt, and it was right on the pole.
Look at this release. Boom. Great putt.
Oh yeah.
And he had to get it, averaging 2.85. I mean, you guys have been getting par pretty much.
Yeah, but that was a big putt. And
this is even bigger because you have to keep that lead.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, now that Dylan hit, he at the moment tied Cooke and I, and then I was able to hit that to keep the one-stroke lead on Dylan.
I mean, this is huge. We have to watch a replay on this one, too.
Yeah.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah.
You are feeling hot on these poles today.
Definitely, man. Yeah, the putter's going in. Again, except for hole one, but everything else has felt pretty good. And now this is a big putt for Cooke after, Dylan and I just hit some big putts.
Absolutely. And, he just had a pretty good putt on the previous hole. Just leaves a little short.
A little low.
And that's a low ceiling.
Yeah.
There's definitely some pines there.
And there definitely was a tailwind, if I remember correctly. So it kind of helped that we could get some more momentum on our putts with the step putt while he had to, just inside the circle, just try to get his legs into it and left it a little too short.
And Angus taking his first bogey, but he left himself in a very bad position. So there was not much he could do there. So moving on to hole 6, averaging also 2.8. So do you feel like you also have to get this one as a lefty?
Yeah.
Being a lefty?
I mean, it's pretty much just a lefty mid-range shot. I think I'm throwing my rock 3 here. I'm just trying to hit the gap, get some good ground play, and hopefully get a good look. And I think I pulled it just a little bit more than I wanted to, a little too left, and hit some trees. But we should have a long look from there, hopefully.
And this is where it starts getting reminiscent of the first round, where it's a little bit shorter, more technical woods holes. Do you prefer this or what you played the first 4 holes?
I think I prefer the first holes. I love playing in the woods personally. I love trying to hit a good gap. I think that's where my strengths are rather than trying to throw distance shots. So I do prefer that, but I think this is a great hole that's mixed into this layout.
Cooke's going to be leaning on his mid-range there. Justice, I believe. Good-looking shot.
Yeah.
Just got a little bit of height there.
This is a really fun hole in general, too. I feel like, when on a non-windy day, you can really, throw all kinds of different shots. The righty backhand is definitely there with a slow turnover. The stock lefty hyzer. It's definitely a nice hole.
And Angus had a great release there. And you were talking about the skip earlier. He kind of got a 25-foot skip there. More than he probably needed, but he'll probably make that putt with his Crocs.
It looks like Dylan was just pitching up there with his P1, put it right under the basket.
He didn't want to do anything deal with that.
No.
It's all right.
And so from here, I think I'm just around 70 feet maybe. Just thinking about if I want to lay it up or give it a good run. Again, if you miss the basket here on a run, you can easily slide past it.
Yeah, it's easily circle 2. I mean, you're so far. Watch the camera work here. And that was dirty, dude.
Yeah, man, that felt good.
You might have seen that on Instagram. And we talked about it a little bit in the first or second hole. What is up with the finger tuck?
Oh, man.
Tell me about the finger tuck.
I don't know where it came from, but when I first started playing, I just had my middle finger kind of tucked into the rim, and it helped me get more spin, and I still think to this day it helps me get more spin on a lot of putts. I've never seen anyone else do it.
It's crisp, man, and if it's the finger tuck that's allowing you to do that, other people should be doing that because I was looking at it very carefully. I was like, what is he doing with his middle finger or one of his fingers?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it. I don't know if it was comfortable. It's got to be comfortable,
It is.
right?
Yeah, it just feels natural to me at this point. I don't know anyone else who does that, but it feels
Never
like...
seen anybody do it.
I feel like I can get more spin with it. So,
but that was dirty. Keep doing you, and please keep making birdies like that.
Thanks.
On coverage. And leave a little short.
Yeah. He's got to get his hand up a little bit more. I think, again, we had a little bit of a tailwind there.
And it's hard to consistently shoot another 10-10 round. I mean, he shot a 10-23 round. Everybody's sort of getting a little tired now and cold still.
It's, definitely cold. I think we all had hand warmers in our pockets. Great putt, Angus. So Angus able to get on the board with a nice birdie there, bounce back from the bogey from the previous hole.
He's such a good putter.
He is.
I love his reactions. It was like, no problem. Taking the breath.
And it looks like Dylan and Cooke there are going to tap in their pars. So now,
well done. That was a good hole for you guys.
Yeah.
The first couple holes were a little, a lot of pars, but you guys are starting to cruise a little bit now.
Yeah, getting into the woods and dealing with the wind a little bit more. So this is actually a relatively straight hole, coming in at about 315 feet. I'm throwing my Glow Halo Wraith here again, trying to get a little bit of right movement on it before it finishes back left.
It's not an easy gap. You really have to commit either to the left of that tree or right of that little bit of a tree unit there.
Yeah.
But it's so tough. Getting a birdie on this one feels really good.
Definitely. So I was able to, I think I hit something a little late, but I should still have a long circle 2 look.
And I'm actually really surprised that this hole averaged 3.22. We said it was a little tough, but I mean, to average 3.22 in the woods, I mean, that's got to mean something more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to hit this initial gap here, and if you don't, or if you're off the fairway in either direction, it's pretty thick and hard to scramble from.
What's Dylan throwing here? This looks like a sweet little yellow mid-range.
I think he's throwing a mid-range here. I think it might be a buzz, if I'm not mistaken.
Trader.
Oh, wait, just kidding. It's something else.
No, I still love you, Dylan. You're playing really well this year, and congratulations on your hot start so far.
Yeah, he's playing lights out in a lot of tournaments right now.
And Cooke is going to be leaning on his forehand, which is not an easy line. He's going to have to keep this low and get a huge skip.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the wind, it's really hard to imagine a lefty backhand getting towards the basket. So I think we got to lean on our forehands here. And again, he's a little bit too tight, I think, on that attempt.
Yeah, it plays way more straight, I feel like, the whole.
Yeah.
And this is why it averaged 3.22, because this upshot is not easy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And he still got about halfway down the fairway. If you get hung up even earlier, it's really tough.
Oh, so are you trying to run this, or what are you doing here?
I'm definitely trying to run this putt. You know, everything's been feeling really good so far.
Feeling frisky.
And I just didn't keep it up high enough.
All right. I mean, you don't want to overcommit
Yep.
and have, a really tough comeback.
Exactly.
Here's somebody that knows all about that.
He actually kept it up, and he thought it was good. I was behind him, actually, when he putted that, and I also thought that was going to be in, but just dropped a little bit too much at the last second.
That would have been really, really awesome. Angus looking for his birdie. Circle 2, almost 3.
Yep. It's a tough putt, but again, doesn't go too far past the basket.
No. Yeah, the only time I really see 2s on this one is bangers. People have to make bangers on this one.
Exactly.
Is that where he's landed?
That's where his approach landed.
Oh, his approach.
So he had to throw the skip shot out and
that's right.
just outside the circle, and again, he couldn't keep it up high enough.
So he's going to take a bogey, an unfortunate bogey. His first real big blemish of the day, pretty much, I'm assuming, because he had that hot round.
Yeah, he had a great round 1. I wasn't on his card, but heard he played pretty well. And he's got, I think, 2 bogeys, unfortunately, so far in this round. It seems like he has to get the putt up a little bit higher. And Dylan taps in his par there. Angus trying to do the same.
There you go, Angus.
Nice and easy.
Well done.
And Cooke taps in the bogey there, and I'm going to tap in the par.
So that hole's had some teeth.
Definitely.
For sure. How long has Team Tank been around?
Well, the actual Team Challenge team has been around now for 2 years. I think the actual guys who created the Team Tank group, I'll call it, have been around for a couple of years now. And luckily we were able to form a Team Challenge team, and we're doing pretty well for ourselves.
I love it. You guys are killing it. You guys look good out there with your Team Tank sweaters.
Yeah, we love those sweaters.
What disc was that?
That was actually a really overstable Champion Firebird that I'm throwing there. There's a decent headwind on this hole. And again, you want to make sure you get left. And not a super long hole, but one that definitely, again, has some teeth if you don't hit the gap properly.
Well, I could see you got the memo. You kept it low, and that was the play there, because it's a pretty low ceiling there. But keeping it low won't affect the wind as much either.
Exactly. Dylan with a really good shot.
Yep, he's copying your style there a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, that's the thing you have to miss, is you'll see as you're hyzering in, there's kind of these downed logs that can block you off. So you want to try to miss those. Dylan misses them perfectly and has a pretty close putt.
We talked about 5 and 6 being must-gets. This is another one, I feel like. As a lead card, or even anybody in the top pro divisions, you're going to want to get this one.
Exactly. Angus with a really nice forehand there. That's not an easy shot to execute on this hole. So.
Oh, if you want to see some awesome forehands, check him out on the Cold Hollow footage. in this course, there's not a lot of elevation. It's not in Vermont, but there's shot shapes that are similar to what we see in Vermont for sure. So he's probably feeling right at home in these wood holes.
Yeah. Cooke, I think, just had his drive go a little too straight. Got a tree kick to the right. Still has a long look here for birdie, though.
Absolutely. Come on, baby. Woo.
It's a little short again.
I like his bids. They're always close.
Yeah.
They're not, and they never go too far.
No.
Compared, some bids, anytime you circle twos, they can run a little bit. Remember Shane Wyatt?
Oh, yeah. Yes, Shane gives the confident stabs at those baskets for sure. So I'm just inside the circle here.
You're feeling it still.
Still feeling pretty good. Let's see if I can connect on this one.
I would love for you to hit it right dead center. Show everybody that finger tuck one more time.
And that was
oh, what happened there, Andre?
That was arguably one of my worst putts of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, my timing was definitely off between my legs and my upper body there, and just pulled it a little bit left.
I just have to see a replay here because.
Well, that's actually the comebacker. So again, that's what we're talking about with these greens is you missed the basket. I slid to circle's edge long.
I thought it was the replay.
So yeah, I mean, again, that's a putt that I was like, okay, yeah, you gotta make up for it. So luckily I was able to connect to save my par.
Yes, great comeback putt. We just talked about that.
Yep.
These greens are not easy. This is where it gets really piney.
Angus with a nice birdie there. Dylan lining up his birdie putt as well.
Yeah, Angus getting a little bounce back. You need it in these holes. That front, man, I can't get over how tough that front is.
Yeah, it's not easy. Dylan really taking his time here, which is smart. No.
He's taking more time, too, and, he's asking people to move a little bit. Like, these are the things that show maturity, I think, over the years, because he would have shown a little bit of frustration if he missed those. And now he doesn't want to show that. He wants to actually make those putts. So that shows some good maturity.
All right, so now I think we're going on to hole 9 here, which it says 270, but plays uphill probably a little closer to 300.
It's a tough hole.
It is.
And it was one of the tougher holes that you guys played. I think it was the third hardest hole, averaging 3.44. It's the distance. I don't think it's 270. Like you said, plays like 330. I always tell people, throw a 330 shot, accurate. You'll be good.
That's accurate, yeah. And again, some of these big trees in the middle can kick you off the fairway, and if you're off, it's really, really thick.
Gosh, that's such a tough forehand line, Dylan.
Yeah. Dylan is one of the few people I know that can throw zones over 300 feet. So on this hole, he was leaning on his zone there and just kept it a little too straight.
You see something here. I see it in your eyes.
Yeah, I'm throwing, I think, one of my older T-birds that I have. Just trying to get to flip up to flat a little bit, and it just nicked that tree. If I was a little bit inside of that, I think I would have been good. But
I think it would have been parked.
Yeah, kicks me off to the right.
Not even that bad. Like 45 feet, 50?
I wish. It was a little farther than that.
Right.
We'll see in a second. It was a tough spot to be in.
All right. Well, Cooke is going to be turning it a little bit too much, but he's okay. He should have an up and down.
Yeah. Again, it's a little tricky off the fairway a bit, but I think he'll be able to maneuver something from there.
He is lanky. You could tell because that disc glides and spins out of his hands forever.
So not an easy approach here from Dylan. Gosh. You can see it basically comes off camera there for a second, but
that was really impressive. How come it didn't go anywhere? What is that about?
He hit the perfect route. Nice, but that's a great shot.
And again, more controlled than ever. That shot is so smooth right now for him.
Yeah. This is a tricky shot from Cooke.
That was a high leaning Annie there.
Yeah, I think he was throwing his zone, hoping it was going to flex back a bit. He should have a long look.
I'm surprised he didn't try to go around the back side there. That's very creative. He had to get there, and Angus kind of doing the same thing.
Just throwing a forehand up.
Yeah. All right, we'll see how far they are, but. Okay, so you're like 80, 90.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's not a line between me and the basket, so I have to try to get back to the fairway. And I think I was actually flicking my envy here, which I think I flicked maybe 3 times in my life. I just needed to really go right and stay going to the right, and
that was
luckily,
a good shot.
Yeah, it landed flat. I think I have about a 25-footer to save the par.
So at least try it once or twice in your life, and then be flick. Got it. Oh, he was really in jail. Wow, nothing.
It's a hard hole. If you're off the fairway, he had to try to scramble and just wasn't able to get up close, and then had to lay up that par look and hopefully get a bogey.
Oh, Angus also getting a bogey. I mean, it is 3.44 average, so a lot of people getting bogeys, not a lot of birdies. And that was a good putt for you for par save.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you just have to do. Take your medicine and just walk
Exactly.
away on the next hole. Try to get the next one.
I was very happy with that. Again, I've had back-to-back par putts from Circle's Edge, so those both feel good to knock them down.
There you go, Dylan.
Dylan with a great scramble and able to tap in for his par.
That was a great scramble. There it is. All right. Well, a little bit of bloodshed, but he had a couple birdies as well, Angus. I think he is even for the front. And you are -3.
Mm-hmm.
Great job. Cooke is about +2.
Yep.
And I think Dylan is -2.
Yeah.
So you guys are battling. It's all very close. And what did you think of that front there?
I thought I played pretty well. Again, a couple mistakes that I wish I could get back, but overall, I was able to scramble when I needed to, hit some big putts, and looking forward to the back nine.
You did make some big putts. Let's see if we can see that finger tuck on the next round in the back nine. See you guys soon.